Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, most merciful. Hello and welcome to a new episode of Teaching English on Dروس Mega Goal 3. Let's start our class by reviewing the plan. First, we're going to introduce the reading passage. The title of this reading passage is Living Off the Grid. Next, we're going to review some vocabulary from this passage. And also, we're going to answer some the section which is called After Reading section. And also we are going to review other new contextualized vocabulary. Okay, now we are at step number 7 in this unit 6 going green, and with activity number 8, which is reading. Okay, these are the 2 pages that we're going to cover in our class today, and here is the QR that you can scan and get the materials for this lesson. Okay, as you can see here, this is the reading passage, which consists of 8 paragraphs and about 600 words. And that's what will help you to predict and get the meaning of understand what this passage is about, and also will help you to predict the meaning of some expressions and some words. Okay, this is the title. We introduced it in our previous lesson, and the title Living Off the Grid. And here we can see we call this grid. Some people live outside the grid, or off the grid. That means away from the grid. That means they can generate their own electricity, and they can get their own food and their own supplies generally from their own generators and from their own planting and farms. Okay, we call this windmill, and here we can call it also the solar panels that they can use, whether to get use of the wind to generate electricity, or they can use also the sun to generate electricity as well. Also, they plant some vegetables and fruits from their own. Now, let's review again what this paragraph is. It is an essay. What is this article is? It is considered as an essay. You know, the essay consists of plenty of paragraphs. This essay consists of 8 paragraphs, and also we can count the lines. So when you count the lines, you can tell how many words is in this, or this essay is or consists of. Okay, so there are 44 lines, and there are 600 or approximately 600 words. Okay, so this you can use to measure and to find out later on when it comes to you to write. You can manage and you can measure how many words you are going to write. Okay, before reading, okay, we need to we follow a certain strategy. This strategy is you are going to look for specific details, specific piece of information from this reading. Let's read the instructions here. Read the passage and underline ways that your country can replace utilities. Okay, what are utilities? Utilities are like electricity, natural gas, and water from the local supply system. Now, your country is trying to replace, okay, to get use of other opportunities or other options for replacing energy. So here, what are these things you need to read, and you will find out from this reading. So be careful to answer this question, because we're going to come to it at the end of this class and answer these things. Also, after reading, whenever you want to read, you need to specify what is the reason of your reading. Why are you reading this passage? Is it for pleasure? Is it to answer questions? Is it for summarizing, or whatever you want to read? You need to decide, because your reading will depend on, or your comprehension will depend on what you want from this reading. Now, after reading, there are 7 questions or 6 questions. You need to answer them. So it's better, since it is a long passage, you are recommended to read these questions to find this information when you read. Sometimes you can't read the whole article. You just read the topic sentences in each paragraph, and sometimes you read the introduction and to read the conclusion, the last paragraph. But here, since you want to answer these questions, this is the main goal for our reading today, is to answer these questions. So now you're going to read. It depends on your way of reading. People are different from each other, how they read. But you need to find out about yourself now. Now there are 6 questions. You need to answer them. Okay, let's read them and try to get the answers through your reading. Whether you will follow reading the whole passage, or just getting the keywords and go to the reading and find the right answer in which paragraph according to the topic sentence or according to the thesis statement or so whatever. Okay. Number 1, what are some public utilities that most of us rely on? Okay, this is a question here. You will find it out when you read. So you need to put this question in mind so that you can answer it when it comes to you to read. Okay, define the grid. Okay, so through your reading, you will know what the grid is, so you'll be able to define it. So put it in your mind so that it will help you to understand and to get what you want exactly from this reading. Number 3, how does wind energy work? Okay, wind is an energy, energy. Okay, so how does it work? This is what you're going to find out from reading also. Number 4, what are some reasons people choose to live off the grid? Why people live off the grid? So there are thousands of people who choose to live off the grid. Why? This is what you're going to find out also through your reading. But put this in your mind so that this is one of the pieces of information that we need to answer. Okay. Number 5, what are 2 alternatives to using public water utility? Okay. You can get alternatives. You have alternatives to using public water utility. You can get the answer here from the reading also, and you need to find which paragraph carries this piece of information. Okay, and the last question here: how could someone reduce his or her waste? The writer of this article advises people to reduce their waste. Okay, you will find out through this reading what are the ways or methods that people can reduce their waste. Okay, so this is what we're going to look for in the reading, and inshallah you will find it easy to understand and to answer these questions. Okay, let's review some of the vocabulary also to help you understand this passage. Now we're talking about this. This is called a power plant. Okay, power plant. What's a power plant? Let's see how the writer used it in this article. Imagine heating your home without relying on the local power plant. Okay, this is this sentence is the topic sentence of the introduction paragraph. So here the writer is drawing an image in your mind or in the mind of his reader to let you imagine what the paragraph is going to be about and what is the alternatives that you will need instead of living on grid. Okay, so this is a noun which means a power station. So this is a power station. What's a power station? Power plant is a power station. Okay, here also we're talking about this. What is this? It is electricity. How can we find it in the text? You can meet your need for electricity without harming the environment. When you live off the grid, you can meet your need for electricity without harming the environment, without affecting the environment badly. Okay, so this is a noun which means a form of energy that provides power to motors and devices that create light or heat. These are some of the uses of electricity. And here also we're talking about self-reliance. What is this phrase? What does this phrase mean? Let's see it in a text to find out what it means. These people have a desire for self-reliance. The people who are off-grid, or the off-gridder people have a desire. Okay, they are looking forward to have self-reliance. They depend on themselves rather than anything else. So the meaning here is the ability to depend on yourself or your own abilities, not on other people or on other things. Okay, and here also we're talking about a grid. A grid. Okay, this you can see it here from the picture, and here is the text. What exactly is the grid? This is one of the topic sentences in one of the paragraphs. It is a noun. The linked system that supplies electricity to most homes and buildings in developed nations. Okay, this is the meaning of grid. Okay, here we're talking also about a very important word that we need also to know, especially in this unit, which is environment. What is the environment and how it was used in this reading? You can meet your need for electricity without harming the environment. So you get the electricity without just using burning or using fuels or burning coals or whatever to harm the environment. So the alternatives, as we mentioned also, is one of them is when you get use of the wind and when you get use of the sun also. Okay, we're using the windmills and the solar panels. Okay, this is a noun, which means the environment is the air, water, and land in or on which people, animals, and plants live. Okay, now we come to the reading and starting with the first paragraph. Okay, and we told you that it is an introduction. The first paragraph is an introduction. You need to read and listen, and also you need to learn how to introduce your writing. Later on, when it comes to you to write, you will get use of your ability, or you increase or your skill in writing, how to make introduction. And this introduction here is a very nice introduction. You can find the thesis statement that's written in this paragraph, and also you can find the topic sentence of this introduction. You can find supporting sentences, and you can find also something called a hook. The writer asks the question so to encourage you or to persuade you to read the whole article. And this is very important skill, and you can get it inshallah if you improve your reading and if you read a lot and if you read good articles. Let's start listening and reading now.
Pages 88 and 89. 8. Reading.
Living off the grid. Imagine heating your home without relying on the local power plant. Wouldn't it feel good to meet your need for electricity without harming the environment? For a growing number of people, these ideas have become reality. Out of concern for the environment and a desire for self-reliance, these people have made the bold decision to live off the grid.
Okay, so here in this paragraph, you can find the topic sentence, the supporting sentences, and the conclusion. And if you read the last sentence, which is a conclusion, we can consider it as a thesis statement, because here this sentence is the most important one in the whole article, because it tells you what the writer is going to write about and what is he going to elaborate in his other paragraphs. Okay, let's go to paragraph number 2, and it is called a body paragraph. Also from 2 to 7 are called body paragraphs, and here the writer is supporting his ideas, and he is in this paragraph trying to define grid. Okay, and also he tells us how the people or the off-gridders try to produce all of the energy they consume from their own ways, using renewable energy, like when we talk about winds and when we talk about also sun. Okay, let's read the second paragraph and listen to it, please.
What exactly is the grid? The grid, short for the power grid, is the linked system that supplies electricity to most homes and buildings in developed nations. Homes that are off the grid are not hooked up to the local power supply. Instead, they produce all of the energy they consume. As a result, people living off the grid avoid the environmental and financial costs that come with on-grid living.
Okay, so these are the benefits of living off the grid. They also reduce their financial cost, and also they help the environment to be better and to avoid pollution and to avoid consuming a lot of natural resources. Now in paragraph number 3 here, which is a body paragraph, here we're talking about 2 alternatives for electricity, that is wind and sun. Can we generate electricity from the sun and wind? Yes, we can, and you can find information about that in this paragraph when you read it and listen to it. Okay.
The key to getting off the grid is replacing electricity supplied by a power plant with a renewable energy source, like wind or solar power. Buildings that use solar power have solar panels on the roof or near the building. When the sun's light hits the panels collect the energy. Wind power is collected by turbines, also known as windmills. When the wind blows, the blades move, producing energy which is turned into electricity by a generator.
Okay, as you notice here in this paragraph, the writer explains and gives us details about how the windmill works and how also the solar panel works and where the people put it and how they generate electricity. Okay, now let's move to the next paragraph, which is paragraph number 4, one of the body paragraphs, and here we are talking about how these the people live independently. Okay, so listen and read now and find out how people live independently and how their life is. Okay.
Some people go even further off the grid. In addition to setting up a renewable energy source, they also have an independent source of water. They dig wells to access groundwater or use a cistern, a type of tank, to collect rainwater. Those most committed to living off the grid may even lack garbage service. These people generally live a life that creates very little waste, growing their own organic fruits and vegetables and raising chickens and goats for eggs and milk. By avoiding the consumption of packaged foods, they greatly reduce paper and plastic waste.
Okay, so notice how easy or how simple their life is. They just live and they also consume very little, and as you can see here, can you read, they produce also very little waste at the end of the day. Okay, now we're moving to the next paragraph, which is paragraph number 5. In this paragraph, the writer is going to tell us about the benefits and the difficulties that people might face if they are living off-grid. Okay.
As challenging as it may be to live off the grid, most off-gridders feel that the benefits far outweigh the difficulties. Jorge and Ella Alvarez, off-gridders in northern Arizona, say, "We love being off-grid. It's definitely hard work, but it puts everything in life into perspective. It's surprising to find just how much you can do without. Many people think we have a harsh and depressing lifestyle. Nothing could be further from the truth. We see living off the grid as a gift that has allowed us to be more in touch with nature and each other."
Okay, so you notice here in this paragraph, Jorge and Ella are telling us about their experience as off-gridders, and also they're telling us that their life is very simple and very easy. You will find out also other examples in the next paragraph, which is paragraph number 6. We're talking about Wendy Johnston and how they managed to live this part of life, or this kind of life. Okay, let's listen.
This view is shared by Wendy Johnston, a mother of 3 living off the grid with her family in Ontario, Canada. Wendy recalls, "In the house I grew up in, we would leave lights on all day, the thermostat up at night, and water running without a second thought. I wanted my children to be raised with more respect for the environment and an awareness of the impact that they have on it. My children don't take energy for granted. I love the fact that they are learning how to take care of the earth while at the same time learning to be self-sufficient."
Okay, here you notice that this paragraph is mostly about a lady who's talking about her experience, and also you notice it is written in quotation. That is very important. If somebody, if you are transferring what somebody else said, you put it in quotations, as you can see here. So she told us about her experience, and also she concluded the article or the paragraph with her own experience. Okay, and now we're moving to the last paragraph, which is paragraph number 7, the last body paragraph. Okay, here we're going to talk about the difficulties also in another perspective. Let's read and listen.
Wendy admits that living off the grid has its difficulties. For example, the Johnstons' power usually goes down a few times a year. However, Wendy reflects, "The funny thing is that these often turn out to be some of our best times as a family. The power outages have an unexpected way of bringing us closer together. We read books and play games by candlelight, or we get together and tell stories.
Okay. Now you notice that Wendy also explains that she feels happy when there is an outages of electricity, when the electricity stops, because she feels happy when her family member gather together to just chat and play games and so on. So she likes this kind of life, which is living off the grid. Now we're moving to the last paragraph of today, which is the conclusion, and you notice here how the writer concludes his ideas and how he is telling us about what this kind of life entails and what are the rewards that the rewarding of this kind of life. Let's read and listen. Okay.
Living off the grid entails sacrifices and is certainly not for everyone. But for the thousands of people who have made this bold choice, life off the grid is filled with rewards that can't be matched by the conveniences and luxuries of life on the grid. Okay, so here you notice the difference between the on-gridders and the off-gridders. If you want to try off-gridder once, you can do that, and you can tell your experience about that, and also you can write about it. If you want to improve your writing, also it is a very good chance for you to write. Okay, now we finished reading this article and this 8th paragraph article, and now we're going to move to the after reading section, which is about comprehension questions. We will answer them. You remember when we told you to concentrate on these pieces of information. Like number 1 here, what are some public utilities that most of us rely on? Okay, in our daily life, we rely on electricity, natural gas, and water. Okay, number 2, from the reading also, can you define grid? Okay, the best definition for this word or this term is the linked system that supplies electricity to most homes and buildings in developed nations. Okay, now number 3, how does wind energy work? Okay, some people or some countries also produce or generate electricity from wind. How do they do that? Let's read this answer. When the wind blows, windmills turn, producing energy which is turned into electricity by a generator. This answer also can be taken from the reading. Okay, now we move to question number 4. What are some reasons people choose to live off the grid? Okay, the reason for living off the grid, for some people, they concern for the environment. They want to take care of the environment more, and also a desire for self-reliance. They want to depend on themselves. Number 5, what are 2 alternatives to using public water utility? Here, a private well, a cistern to collect rainwater. As an option for them to get water, they dig wells, okay, under the ground, and they get water. Also, they put something called a cistern, which is put at the top or the roof of the house to collect water from the rain. Number 6, how could someone reduce his or her waste? Okay, this is a very important question. You can answer it also. You can take part in answering it from your own experience. By growing their own fruits and vegetables, okay, they do it themselves, and also by raising and tending animals for food. So they raise and they also plant their own food, and they also raise their own chicken and goats, as was mentioned in this reading. Okay, and here also we come to the end of our class today. Thank you for watching, and see you inshallah in our next episode. Goodbye.